"You don't belong here." That's what my stepmother whispered to me, right before everything changed. Not loud enough for others to hear, but just loud enough to cut deep. And the worst part? She wasn't done, because what she said next was meant to destroy me. My name is Ethan Miller. I'm 27 years old, and my entire life, I've been treated like I was worth less, not by strangers, not by the world, but by my own family. My father used to be different, kind, supportive, present, but after my mom passed away, everything changed. He remarried, and that's when she came into my life. Clara, elegant, polished, charming on the outside, but behind closed doors, cold, calculated, controlling. She never liked me. Not from the beginning. Maybe because I reminded her of my mom, or maybe because I never treated her like she was my real mother. Either way, she made one thing very clear. I didn't belong. Growing up, it was subtle. Small comments, backhanded compliments, quiet comparisons. "Why can't you be more like other kids? You're not exactly impressive, are you? Don't embarrass us." My father? He stayed silent. Always. And silence can hurt more than words. By the time I turned 18, I left. No drama. No goodbye. Just gone. I didn't take money. Didn't ask for help. Because I knew one thing. If I stayed, I would never become anything. The next 9 years? They weren't easy. I worked jobs no one wanted. Construction, night shifts, cleaning. Sometimes 2 jobs at once. Sometimes barely sleeping. But I never went back. Never asked for anything. And slowly, I built something. Not wealth, not success, but strength. The kind no one could take from me. So when I got an invitation, I almost didn't go. A formal charity gala, hosted by my father and his wife. High society, wealthy guests, business elites. Everything I walked away from. But something inside me said, go. Not to prove anything, not to impress anyone, but to face it. One last time. I didn't have an expensive suit, just a simple black one. Clean, neat, nothing special, but I wore it with confidence. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't ashamed of who I was. The venue was massive. Crystal lights, marble floors, elegant music, people dressed in luxury. And then, there was me. Different, noticeably. But I didn't care. Not anymore. I stepped inside, and almost immediately, I felt it. Eyes, judging, whispers, assumptions. But I kept walking, until I saw her, Clara, standing near the center. Perfect as always, dressed like she owned the room. And when her eyes landed on me, her smile faded instantly. She walked toward me slowly, each step calculated, controlled. And when she got close, she leaned in, just enough, and whispered, "You're too poor to be wearing this." My chest tightened, but I didn't react. Not yet. Because I knew this wasn't the end. She stepped back, now smiling, louder this time. "So nice of you to show up," she said. Her voice carried. People started paying attention. "I wasn't sure you could afford the invitation," she added. A few quiet laughs. My hands clenched slightly, but I stayed calm. Because this wasn't new. This was just public now. "I'm invited," I said simply. She tilted her head. "Oh, sweetheart," she said sweetly. "Invited doesn't mean you belong." That line, that one line, hit harder than anything else, because that's what she always believed. And now, she wanted everyone else to believe it too. "I think it's best if you leave," she added quietly. There it was, the same thing she always wanted, for me to disappear. But this time, I didn't move, didn't back down, didn't look away. And that's when something unexpected happened. A voice, calm, deep, from behind us. I don't think he's the one who should be leaving. Everything went silent. I turned and saw him, an older man, tall, straight posture, sharp eyes, wearing a simple suit. But something about him felt different, respectable, powerful. Without trying, he stepped closer and looked directly at Clara. I heard what you said, he continued. His voice wasn't loud, but it didn't need to be, because suddenly, everyone was listening. And for the first time that night, Clara didn't look in control. And something told me this moment was about to change everything. The room went quiet. Not the normal kind of quiet. The kind that feels heavy. Like everyone knows something important is about to happen. Clara turned slowly, her confident smile still there, but it didn't look as strong anymore. I'm sorry, she said, pretending not to understand. The man stepped closer, calm, controlled. You heard me, he said. No anger, no raised voice, but something about him made it impossible to ignore. Clara let out a soft laugh. I think you misunderstood, she said. This is a private event. Her tone changed slightly, sharper now. And we don't allow just anyone to stay, she added. A few people nodded. Some looked uncomfortable. The man didn't react. Instead, he looked at me, really looked at me, like he was trying to understand something deeper. Then he turned back to her. And who decides who belongs? He asked. Clara smiled again. I do, she said confidently. There it was. That control. That belief that she owned the room. But the man just nodded slowly. Interesting, he said. He took a small step forward. Because, from where I'm standing, the only thing I see, he paused, is someone trying to humiliate a young man in public. A ripple moved through the crowd, people whispering now. Clara's expression tightened. That's not what's happening, she said quickly. No? He replied. He gestured slightly toward me. Then why does he look like he's been hearing this his whole life? That hit me hard, because he was right, and somehow he saw it instantly. Clara crossed her arms. I don't know who you think you are, she said, but this is none of your business. The man smiled slightly. You're right, he said. A pause, until you made it everyone's business. Silence again, because that was true. She didn't insult me quietly. She made sure people heard. And now she couldn't take it back. My father finally stepped forward. Sir, I think there's been a misunderstanding, he said. Same tone as always, trying to control the situation, trying to keep things clean. The man looked at him. Are you the host? He asked. Yes, my father replied. The man nodded. Then you should be ashamed, he said calmly. That line shocked everyone. No one talked to my father like that, ever. What did you say? My father asked, his voice tightening. I said you should be ashamed, the man repeated, for allowing this. My father glanced at Clara, then back at the man. You don't understand the situation, he said. Then explain it, the man replied. Silence. Because there was nothing to explain, only the truth. And the truth was ugly. Clara stepped in again. This boy is not part of this world, she said coldly. He doesn't fit here. The man tilted his head slightly. Because of his clothes? He asked. Because of everything, she replied. That word, everything, it carried years of judgment, years of rejection. And suddenly, I felt something change inside me. Not anger, not pain, something else. Clarity. I'm leaving, I said quietly. All eyes turned to me, because that's what they expected. That's what I always did. Walk away, stay quiet, disappear. But this time, it wasn't out of shame. It was a choice. And somehow, that made it different. The man looked at me. You don't have to, he said. I gave a small smile. I know, I replied. A pause. But I'm not staying for this. Not for them. Not for her. Not anymore. I turned toward the exit, and that's when Clara spoke again. Louder this time. See? She said to the crowd. I told you, he doesn't belong here. A few people laughed. That sound used to break me, but not today, because before I could take another step, the man spoke again. No, he said firmly. Everything stopped. He's not the one who doesn't belong. Clara froze. What did you just say? She asked. The man stepped forward again, now fully in the center of the room. This young man, he said, pointing slightly toward me, has more dignity than anyone I've seen here tonight. Silence. Pure silence. Because now, this wasn't just a defense. This was a statement, and everyone felt it. You judge him by his clothes, the man continued, but I judge people by their character. He paused. And his? He looked at me. Is stronger than yours will ever be. Clara's face changed instantly, from confident to furious. You don't know anything about him, she snapped. The man smiled slightly. No, he said, but I know enough about you. That line cut deeper than anything she had said all night. The room shifted, people no longer laughing, no longer whispering. Now, they were watching her, judging her, and for the first time, she was the one under pressure. But something told me this wasn't over, because the man hadn't revealed everything yet. And when he did, this night was going to turn into something no one expected. The energy in the room had changed. Just minutes ago, I was the one being judged. Now, all eyes were on her, Clara, and for the first time in her life, she didn't look untouchable. You're out of line, she said sharply. Her voice tried to stay strong, but I could hear it. That small crack, that loss of control. The man didn't react. He simply adjusted his sleeve, calm, patient. You keep talking about who belongs, he said, but you've said nothing about respect. Clara scoffed. Respect is earned, she replied. The man nodded slowly. I agree, he said. A pause, which is why I'm confused. He looked directly at her. About what exactly you've done to earn any? The room went silent again, because that wasn't just a comment. That was a direct hit. My father stepped forward immediately. That's enough, he said firmly. His tone carried authority. The same tone that used to silence everything. But not this time. Is it? The man replied calmly. No fear. No hesitation. Because from what I see, he glanced around the room. No one else was going to say anything. That was true. Painfully true. People saw what happened, heard everything, but chose silence. Just like my father always did. Clara crossed her arms again. You're making a scene, she said. The man smiled slightly. No, he replied. You did. Silence. Again. Heavy. Unavoidable. I stood there, watching everything unfold. Part of me wanted to leave, to walk away like I always did. But another part of me wanted to see this through, because for once, someone wasn't letting her win. Who even are you? Clara finally asked. There it was. The question everyone was thinking. The man paused, looked around the room, then back at her. Just someone who doesn't like bullies, he said. Simple, but not enough, because something about him didn't match that answer. My father narrowed his eyes. No, he said slowly. You're more than that. The man didn't respond immediately. Instead, he reached into his jacket pocket, pulled something out. A small, worn leather wallet. He opened it carefully and took out a card. Then, he handed it to my father. The moment my father looked at it, everything changed. His posture, his expression, his confidence, gone. What is it? Clara asked impatiently. My father didn't answer, because he couldn't. He just stared at the card, like he had seen a ghost. Go ahead, the man said calmly. Tell them. Silence. Then, slowly, my father spoke. He's a retired colonel, he said. A ripple moved through the crowd. Military. Respect. Authority. Instantly. But that wasn't all. because my father kept talking. And, he added, swallowing slightly, he's also one of the largest donors to this foundation. Now the room exploded into whispers, because that changed everything. This wasn't just a random guest. This was someone powerful, respected, untouchable in a different way. Clara's face went pale. "You're joking," she said. The man looked at her. "No," he replied. A pause. "I'm the reason this event exists." Silence. Complete silence. Because now, the truth was undeniable. You should have said something," Clara stuttered. The man's expression didn't change. "Why?" he asked. She hesitated. "Well, so we could treat me with respect?" he interrupted. She froze, because she couldn't answer that. The man stepped closer, lowered his voice slightly. "But I didn't come here to test you," he said. He glanced at me. "I came to support something meaningful." Then back to her. "But instead, I saw exactly what kind of people you are." That line destroyed whatever image she had left. "And if this is how you treat people you think are less than you," he paused, "then I want no part in this." Gasps. Real ones. Because everyone understood what that meant. Funding, support, reputation, all at risk. "You can't be serious," my father said quickly. "I am," the man replied. He took a step back. "Effective immediately. I'm withdrawing my support." Silence hit like a shockwave. Because this wasn't just embarrassment anymore. This was damage. Real damage. Clara looked like she couldn't breathe. "This is because of him?" she asked, pointing at me. The man shook his head. "No," he said. "This is because of you." And just like that, everything flipped. The power, the control, the respect, all gone. Because of one moment, one choice, one truth. I stood there, still processing everything. Because I came here expecting humiliation. But instead, I witnessed something else. Justice. Real, undeniable justice. The man turned to me, and for the first time, he smiled. "Son," he said quietly, "never let anyone tell you where you belong." Something in my chest tightened, not from pain, but from something I hadn't felt in a long time. Pride. But the night wasn't over yet, because what happened next would change my life in a way I never expected. And it had nothing to do with Clara, or my father, but with the man who refused to stay silent. No one moved. No one spoke. The room that once felt powerful now felt fragile, like everything holding it together had just cracked. Clara stood frozen. Her confidence? Gone. My father looked like a man trying to hold on to something already slipping away. And me? I was still standing in the same place. But everything felt different. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the smallest person in the room. The colonel turned slightly toward the exit, like he was ready to leave. And honestly, I thought that was it. He said his piece, exposed the truth, walked away. End of story. But then, he stopped, took a breath, and turned back. "I'm not done yet," he said. The room tightened again, because now, something bigger was coming. He walked slowly across the floor, not rushed, not emotional, intentional, until he stood beside me. Not in front of me, not above me, beside me. And that meant something. He looked at my father first. "You said he doesn't belong here," he said calmly. My father didn't respond, because what could he say? Then he looked at Clara. "You judged him by his clothes, his presence, his silence." A pause, "But you never asked who he is." Clara swallowed hard, because now she was scared. The colonel turned to me. "Tell me something," he said quietly. I blinked. "What?" I asked. "Why didn't you defend yourself?" he said. The question caught me off guard. I hesitated, then answered honestly. "Because I didn't think it mattered," I said. Silence. Then I added, "I'm used to it. That truth, hung in the air, heavy, uncomfortable, real. The colonel nodded slowly. "That's what I thought," he said. Then he turned back to the room. "And that right there is the strongest man in this room." Whispers again, but different this time. Not judgment, respect. Clara shook her head. "This is ridiculous," she said. "You're making him something he's not." The colonel smiled slightly. "No," he said. "I'm recognizing something you never could." Then he did something no one expected. He reached into his pocket again. But this time, he pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, then turned the screen toward my father. "Take a look," he said. My father frowned, then leaned in. And the moment he saw the screen, his face changed. Again. But this time, it wasn't fear. It was shock. Pure shock. "What is it?" Clara demanded. He didn't answer, because he couldn't. I stepped closer, looked at the screen, and froze, because I recognized it immediately. It was my name, Ethan Miller, on a business profile, a company I built, a company no one in that room knew about. Clara grabbed the phone, looked at it, and her expression collapsed. This isn't real," she said. But it was. Every word, every number, everything I worked for, in silence, was right there. "You see," the colonel said calmly, "while you were busy judging him," he paused. "He was building something." The room shifted again, because now the story changed completely. My father finally spoke. "You own this?" he asked slowly. I looked at him, then nodded. "Yes." Silence. Because now, they weren't looking at me the same way anymore. They weren't seeing the poor kid. They were seeing something else, something they never expected. "Why didn't you say anything?" my father asked. I thought about that for a second, then answered honestly, "Because I didn't need to." That answer said everything. Clara stepped back slightly, like she needed distance. From me, from the truth, from her mistake. I didn't know," she said quietly. I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel hurt. I felt nothing, because people like her only respect what they understand, and she never tried to understand me. The colonel stepped forward one last time. "Respect isn't about status," he said. He looked directly at Clara. "It's about character." Then he looked at my father. "And you failed him." That one line was heavier than anything else that night, because this time, it wasn't just about me. It was about everything they ignored, everything they allowed, everything they chose not to see. The colonel turned toward the exit again, but before he left, he placed a hand on my shoulder, firm, respectful. "You did good."